Season's Tweetings. Written by Maithwaiter and adapted for audio by ButterflyCoffee. December had arrived on the island of Sodor, and with it came snow and, of course, Christmas. Stations were being decorated with tinsel and trees, engines were fitted with their snowplows, and the Fat Controller had already ordered plenty of Christmas puddings. Everyone was feeling festive. Even the trucks were singing carols in the yards. Percy had been asked to help shunt at the big station. He was collecting some extra coaches from Knapford's sheds when he spotted Murdoch's tender poking out. "Merry Christmas, Murdoch!" peeped Percy cheerfully. There was no reply. "Must be asleep. Lucky for some." But Murdoch wasn't asleep. He was wide awake, happily gazing at a bird's nest in the corner of the shed roof. A little robin had made her home there. Murdoch enjoyed watching whenever he wasn't working. Robins are kept busy looking for food during the winter, as they don't migrate like other birds do. Murdoch was happy to see her stay during Christmas. He found the holiday overwhelming at times, and the robin kept him at ease. The bird had just returned from feeding. She fluttered down and rested on Murdoch's buffer. "Hello there," said Murdoch quietly. "Nice of you to come down to keep me company. I much prefer your quiet peeps to Christmas carols." The robin twittered softly. Just then, a loud horn echoed behind Murdoch. The robin promptly flew back to her nest. Salty was rather loudly singing to himself. "Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be—" "Salty!" wheezed Murdoch. "Stop that racket, please!" Salty was quickly hushed. "Oh, sorry about that, me hearty. I forgot about your little friend in the shed." He peered up at the robin. "I do apologise, ma'am," he added quickly. "That's all right. Just please keep the noise down. I don't want to scare her off." "Yar, of course. We be in a very festive mood. The Fat Controller's annual Christmas Eve party is tonight, and all hands are invited on deck." "Well, I hope you enjoy it," said Murdoch in a low voice. "Oh? Won't you be joining us, shipmate?" "Well, I'd rather—" Murdoch's crew then came back from their break, and the big engine was taken away to collect a goods train. Salty left for his own work, leaving the sound of the robin tweeting away. Murdoch collected his trucks from the docks and set off to the end of the line. As he made his way, engines would whistle loudly at him and call out season's greetings. "Why does everyone have to be so loud at this time of year?" groaned Murdoch. "Never mind, we'll be finished soon. Then we can go back and see the robins," said his driver. Eventually, they reached the end of the line, and Murdoch happily parked his trucks in the yard. He was just filling up on water when the Fat Controller trudged through the snow over to him. "Ah, Murdoch, splendid timing. I need you to collect a few wagons and a flatbed in the yard and then bring them to Knapford Station." "Oh, yes, sir," said Murdoch. He was surprised by the request, but didn't mind the extra work. He was singing a very different tune when he saw the wagons and the flatbed. The wagons were painted bright red and had a logo of a holly bough. They were packed full of Christmas decorations. As for the flatbed, it was a Christmas tree, cheered the fireman. "And a big one at that. It'll look even more wonderful once it's decorated." Murdoch sighed. He already received enough attention with his regular trains. Now he was sure he would drown in all the Christmas cheers. As he passed through the stations, passengers would gasp when they saw the consist. Engines would hoot and whistle even louder than before. Poor Murdoch just wanted to be left alone. At last, he arrived at Knapford Yards, where he left the train in a siding. Finally. Now I can leave this Christmas tree! Percy shrieked as he pulled up alongside him. Thank you for collecting it, Murdoch. It looks wonderful. The twins and I'll take it now. Twins? Asked Murdoch. I thought Donald and Douglas were out on the main line. Not them, chuckled Percy. Before Murdoch could think of anything else, Bill and Ben came whistling into the yard. They were on loan from the China Clay Works. Look, Ben, Murdoch has brought us loads of Christmas presents, giggled Bill. I don't think they're for us, Bill, laughed Ben. I think they're for the party tonight. They'll be put under the tree once it's decorated, smiled Percy. Presents don't go under trees. Yes, they do, Bill. Don't you know anything? I know naughty children get coal, but I wouldn't be sad about that, guffawed Bill. It was all too much for Murdoch. He scuttled back into his shed, while the 3 tank engines laughed amongst themselves. Murdoch's crew parked him, put out his fire, and went home. Murdoch was happily watching the robin again, peeping softly away. Murdoch smiled and closed his eyes. Murdoch, what are you doing here? Said a voice. Murdoch cracked open an eye and saw the Fat Controller standing in front of him. He was wearing a tinsel scarf and a red Santa hat. I thought you'd be at the Christmas party at Knapford. All my engines were invited. Oh, well, sir, Come on now, Murdoch. I insist you join the festivities. Murdoch glanced back at the robins, then at his controller. He really wanted to stay in the shed, but he felt like he couldn't say no. All right, sir, he conceded, faking a smile, but he didn't feel happy at all. Salty was coupled up to Murdoch and pulled him out of his shed. The station at Knapford was flooded with engines, people and rolling stock. The people had on cosy winter coats, and the engines and rolling stock all had Santa hats. Murdoch was shunted onto the middle line between Gordon and James. The 2 engines were bickering. How many times must I say it, little James? It's all is calm, all is bright. Rubbish! I'm sure it's all is white, like how it snows at Christmas. I wish it was a silent night, sighed Murdoch. He squirmed uncomfortably. Everything was far too loud and he didn't want to stay here at all. Suddenly, Murdoch felt a small bump beside his smoke box. He looked over and saw 2 workmen climbing a ladder with a large Santa hat. Oh, no thank you, the big engine tried. I don't really want... But the workmen had already fitted it over his funnel. Murdoch frowned as they climbed down. Soon, it was time for the lights on the tree to be switched on. Father Christmas arrived by Harold the helicopter and began the countdown. 3, 2, 1. The lights came on in a flood, and everyone cheered, except for Murdoch. The lights burned his eyes, and the cries of joy rang painfully in his smoke box. Merry Christmas, me hearties! Cheered Salty from behind. And that was it. No, 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 I can't stand it anymore! Salty, take me back, please! Salty was surprised, but quickly complied. Everyone was too busy celebrating to notice them go. The diesel pushed Murdoch back into the shed. As his crew took the Santa hat off, Salty watched Murdoch carefully. Is everything all right, matey? He asked cautiously. No, it's not! I didn't even want to go to the party. I just wanted a quiet Christmas to myself. With her. Murdoch looked miserably up at the sleeping Robin. But no! I had to be taken where I didn't want to go. I think I'll be blind and deafened for a week. I just want this holiday to be over with. Salty's shock soon became confusion.
Why didn't ye speak up about it?
I tried. It's not like I can just say no to the Fat Controller, though. And besides, everyone's too wrapped up in their own traditions and doesn't listen. I wanted to celebrate in my own way. Salty was quiet. He was nothing if not an introspective diesel.
I understand, me hearty. I think it's nice how the robins keeps you company.
Murdoch said nothing, but was immensely grateful for the understanding. The robin poked her head above her nest. She twittered brightly and fluttered down to Murdoch's buffer. Murdoch smiled. The robin then hopped to Salty. She peeped a little song at him.
And hello to you too, ma'am, the diesel said softly. I see you prefer a quiet Christmas as well.
The robin whistled a small tune before fluttering back to her nest. Salty swore it sounded a lot like "We wish you a Merry Christmas."
Merry Christmas, Murdoch, said Salty quietly. I think I like your traditions just as much as the other ones. We all need a little peace sometimes, matey.
Merry Christmas to you too, Murdoch said happily. He still had a dull ringing in his deflectors, but he felt just as merry as the roaring party outside. After all, Christmas isn't all about parties. It's a time of peace and goodwill to all. But we all know that, don't we?